Hey everyone, welcome back for week 4, day 6 of the yoga challenge with me, Erin Moss. Today is all about prenatal yoga. You guys have asked for it and it's finally here. So don't get scared away. I know I said prenatal yoga, but even if you're not pregnant or you have no intention of becoming pregnant in the near future, this is still a really great go-to class that's gentle, really good for the hips and for the lower back. So you may need a block and also 2 big squishy pillows if you've got them nearby. So when you're ready, meet me at the top of your mat and we'll go ahead and get started. I want you to start sitting down on your mat right in the center. And I'm going to give you a couple options here. So either bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees kind of drop open. And I want you to walk the feet relatively far away from you. So I don't want you to try to bring the heels in super close to the hips, but walk them out maybe about as wide as your mat or so. And you want to make sure that you feel comfortable here. So if it feels awkward to sit up tall in this position, if you've got a block or something that you can sit on, you can slide that right underneath the hips. And that will let the pelvis rock forward so that the knees can just be heavy and you're putting less pressure on the low back. So whichever variation works for you is totally fine. Just take a second to get comfortable, get set up. You can hold on to the shins, let the shoulders drop back and lift the chest straight up. So you're reaching through the crown of the head. You can let the eyes close. And just take a few breaths here, really breathing in fully, all the way down to the base of the belly, filling up the chest all the way, and exhaling completely. With each breath out, see if you can let the knees drop down a little bit heavier. And the hands can really be holding anywhere. You can put them on the knees or on the shins. Again, just make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. And take 2 more rounds of breath. And then eventually let the eyes come open. I want you to keep the legs exactly as they are. We're just going to take a mild twist. So the right hand is going to come behind you and just bring the left hand over to the right knee. So one of the things that's really important here, if you're pregnant, is to try to keep the belly button facing forward. So you don't want to twist so much that you're really twisting through the center. Of course, that wouldn't feel good anyway. But you want to make sure that you don't overdo the twist. If you're not pregnant, don't worry about it. Just twist to whatever depth feels best for you. Take a couple breaths here. Make sure you're lengthening, so lifting through the crown of the head. Try not to round the back. And gradually come back to the center. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. So reset, lift the chest up. And on the exhale, go ahead and take a gentle twist. Left hand comes behind you. Right hand reaches over to that left knee. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, twist. Try to keep the belly relaxed. So as the belly button faces forward, try not to tense up the abdominals at all. Just let it all go. Maybe close the eyes. And gradually come back to the center. Bring your hands back to the knees or to the ankles. I want you to inhale, sit up tall. Think of reaching the chest out and up, and then exhale, start to fold forward. Doesn't have to be the deepest fold you know how to do. Just kind of hold on to the feet or to the ankles and let the upper body kind of drop down. So all you're looking for here is a little release in the low back, some opening through the hips. And especially when you're pregnant, you have a way more amount of a hormone called relaxin in the body, which makes you really flexible, which is convenient for giving birth, but it can make you feel like you're kind of invincible when it comes to stretching. So try not to push too far. Maybe go to like 60 or 70% of what you think you can do at this point. Even if you want to kind of move side to side a little bit, that might feel good on the back and through the sides. And then eventually, slowly come back up. Go ahead and close the knees, swing the feet behind you, and I want you to press up to a down dog. So bring the hands shoulder width apart. You can keep a soft bend in the knees, lift the hips, push firmly into the hands, and drop the head. So depending on how far along you are, feel free to walk the feet a little bit wider if that accommodates some of the extra, that you've got going on in the front. You can bend the knees, like I said, walk the feet more narrow, just kind of feel it out, figure out what works for you today, and let that be perfectly fine. And as throughout your pregnancy, I would not necessarily recommend you spend a lot of time upside down. And down dog is kind of an inversion, so we're not going to stay here a long time, but this would probably be as intense of an inversion as you'd want to get into. And take a couple more breaths. And on your next inhale, shift forward, come down to the knees, come into tabletop. So again, hands are still shoulder width apart, knees are right under the hips. We're just going to take a few rounds of cat-cow. So exhale, round the back, tuck the tailbone, just drop the head. Maybe shake the head out, yes and no a little bit. Just a few times. And then find some stillness. On your next breath in, go ahead and pull through, reach the chest forward. I want you to pause, come back to a neutral spine for a second. Especially if you're pregnant, I want you to be mindful of how much you emphasize that cow pose. So as you come forward, instead of really pushing the belly down and lifting up, I want you not to emphasize that sway in the lower back, especially because you probably, again, depending on how far along you are, you'll notice that the sway in the low back becomes emphasized as the pregnancy goes on. So we want to try not to make that any more dramatized. So instead of dropping the belly down and really arcing the spine, try to keep some engagement through the center of the body, and instead think of gently pulling the chest forward and opening through the front part of the neck and through the chest and keeping the arms engaged. We'll do that a few more times, so exhale, go ahead and round, just however it feels good to. And breathe in, pull through again, trying not to emphasize that lower back sway. Let's do 2 more each way. Exhaling, feel free to go a little ahead or behind me. Inhale, pull through. Last round, exhale. And inhale, pull through. Come back to regular neutral spine. Tuck the toes under. Let's take one last down dog. Lift the hips, pedal out the feet a little bit. Kind of push your weight into one foot and into the other. Again, walking the feet out however it feels good to. Whether you're pregnant or not, just kind of feeling out what works today. Good, and find some stillness in your down dog. Look forward. We're actually going to come right into a warrior 2. So step the right foot between the hands, spin the left heel down, come all the way back up. So the left foot is parallel to the edge of your mat, the right toes face the front. Stretch the arms out to the sides, keep the shoulders relaxed. So feel out what works for that right leg. Bend the knee enough so that you feel some strength, some intensity there, but doesn't have to be 100%. Just gently look down the right arm, maybe let the eyes close. And if the arms get tired, you can drop them to the hips. You can kind of put them wherever you want, to be honest with you. Arms at goalpost, 90 degrees, out, down, whatever works. So I'm going to time you. We're going to hold for a minute. You've probably been here for about 10 seconds already. So I want you to breathe fully, deeply, all the way in through the nose, all the way out through the nose. If you want to let an exhale out through the mouth, that's fine too. But I want you to get comfortable with breathing through that discomfort. So take a few more breaths where you are, about halfway done. Keep the legs strong, like you're sliding the feet in toward the center. "15 seconds. Keep the neck relaxed. It's almost done. 3, 2, and 1. Straighten out the right leg. You can step the left foot up to meet the right, however many steps it takes to get there. Step the feet a little bit wider than the hips and start to fold forward. Bend the knees, relax the head, relax the neck. If that's too much, you can always bend the knees deeply and just kind of sit down halfway, almost like a chair, like a half chair, a lazy chair. That's probably the official yoga name. Come back to a forward fold. Breathe in, step the feet back, come back down to your hands and knees for a moment. We'll take a couple more rounds of cat-cow here. So just like we did before, again, modify it as you need to, but bear in mind if you're pregnant, you don't want to overemphasize that sway back. So exhale, round. Inhale, pull the chest through. And round. And inhale, pull through. Come back to neutral. Before we come into a warrior two on the other side, I want you to walk the knees back halfway or so that the wrists are under the shoulders, but the knees are behind the hips just a bit. So think of this as like an easier version of plank. So it puts less intensity through the abdominals, but it's still going to strengthen the core and the shoulders as well. So if you want to come into a full plank and you're not pregnant, go ahead and take that option. If you are pregnant, keep the knees down, wrist under shoulders, look ahead of the fingertips, and I'm timing you again. So again, I know that if you need to kind of take a break in child's pose, do so. Timing you. You're about 10 seconds in. I'm going to see if we can hold a minute. You can keep the toes tucked under if that works. Make sure that your whole back is kind of in a nice straight line. Really press the floor away. You're halfway done. Breathe. And if you're a little shaky, it's okay. Feel free to sit back in child's pose if you absolutely need to rest. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and lift the hips a little bit, bring the feet together, the knees apart. Sit it back. Let the forehead come down. Inhale, come back up. Tuck the toes under, sit back in a down dog. We're just going to stay there for a second. When you're ready, look to the top of your mat, step the left foot between the hands, and come into a warrior two. So left toes face the top of your mat, right foot is kind of parallel to the other edge. You can stretch the arms out to start, bend the left knee, make sure it tracks right over the second toe. Keep the right hip dropping down, hips are nice and heavy. So again, arms can be anywhere, out, bent, down at the sides, whatever works. Go ahead and maybe look down to the left side. If you're looking down the arm, do that. And I'm timing you one more time. This is the last one. Breathe. It's your 5 seconds in. You got this. This is the last one. You can do one more of anything. Keep lifting through the chest. Try to maintain that good posture. Push evenly into both feet. A little shakiness is good. Just means your body's adjusting, finding balance. "15 seconds. Maybe sit a little lower. Optional, you don't have to make it more difficult. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take the hands down, straighten out the legs. You can step back up to a forward fold. Get a couple steps in if you need it. Take a nice wide forward fold, just wide enough so the feet are wider than the hips. Bend the knees, fold it down. Inhale, lift the chest halfway, and go ahead and have a seat. So here's where you're gonna need your pillows. So one of the more common complaints when I put this out there for the women in my yoga classes who are pregnant was that, of course, towards the end, and even a lot of people in the middle of their pregnancy, you get all this swelling in the legs and in the feet because the fluid just kind of accumulates there. So we just want to bring a little gentle reminder to those areas that, hey, you don't have to do that. Let's bring it back. So go ahead and take the pillows. You're going to bring them to one side of your mat so that you've got enough space in front of you. And put them lengthwise so that kind of your whole body would lay across it. We're just going to have the top of our body across it, but you want to have it long. You might want to block. If you don't have one, it's not necessary. You can just go up against a wall and do legs up the wall. That's where we're going, by the way. I should have mentioned that sooner. But we're going to come into legs up the wall. So if you don't have a wall space, a block will do. And if you do have a wall space, go ahead and bring yourself over there. So make sure your pillows are set up behind you. And you can sit your butt just like, I would say, maybe half a foot away from the pillows, maybe a little closer, maybe a little further apart, depending on how tall you are, how long your torso is. And then go ahead and lay back so that you're not flat. You've just got some support so that you're not lying straight down. If you're not pregnant, you don't have to worry about that. You can just lie flat, legs up the wall as you normally would. It's all good. And from here, go ahead and prop the legs up, either on a block or against the wall. And you can just let the knees be soft, let the arms drape open. So this is one that you can hold for really quite a while if you wanted to, up to a few minutes. I'm just gonna have you hold here for about 30 seconds for this class. But if you decide you wanna stay longer or you wanna revisit it, you know that that's one more thing in your toolbox that you can break out when you need to. So just let the eyes close. And take a few more breaths. Just 2 or 3 more. And exhale, gently bend the knees. You can take the feet down. If you're against your wall, just kind of shimmy away from it or come off your block. You can stay here on your pillows for as long as you like. And whenever you're ready, just eventually go ahead and rock up to a comfortable seat so that you're sitting evenly on the hips and the shoulders are relaxed. Lift up through the crown of the head. On your next breath in, pick the arms up overhead, press the hands together, and exhale them right down to the heart center. Let the eyes blink open. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really hope you found that helpful. For more yoga and other cool stuff, get over to erinmotz.com and I will see you right back here tomorrow.